And we continue Dirshu Mishnah Berurah, learning here Siman Nun Hey, and today we're going to pick it up with Sif Yud Zayin all the way through Sif Chaf Aleph, closing in on this incredible Siman. Says the Mechaber in Sif Yud Zayin Oyeshir Sibur Beketana V'Sibur Beketayla. Continuing that which we spoke about, having the two chatzeiros, the two areas, one opening into another. And yesterday we learned that the small is drawn after the large. So if you have 9 people in the large chatzer and 1 in the small chatzer, it's considered a minyan. So today in Sif Yud Zayin, the Mechaber continues that if the Sheikh Sibur is in the small chatzer and the Sibur is in the large chatzer, Maitzini de Chayvasan, he could fulfill their obligation. Shu nigrar achareihem, as we've seen, because he in the small chatzar is nigrar, is drawn after then. But if the Sheikh Sibur is in the large chatzar and the entire Sibur is in a small one, he does not fulfill their obligation, as we've seen, because the large chatzar is not drawn after the small one, and the small chatzar does not get drawn after the large one, and therefore you will not be able to yaitse everyone else. Continues the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan and Vav, says the Mishnah Berurah, startling fact, even if you have 10 in the small chatzar, and he still cannot be mighty their obligation. Says Mishnah Berurah, maybe one would think that nowadays the status of a Sheikh Sibur is different. We know that nowadays a Sheikh Sibur is not really being mighty everyone else because everyone knows how to daven. Still, you cannot see Kaddish and Kedusha there. Because the place that you are standing, there is no minyan. But says the Mishnah Berurah, if there is actually a minyan in the place Sheikh Sibur is, Vadai, then with certainty, as we turn over to the next page over here, once you have a minyan in the place of the Sheikh Sibur, an important klal, then even those outside, as long as they have in mind to be Yaitse and the Sheikh Sibur has in mind to be Yaitse them, then they can, yes, both fulfill their obligations. Continues Avi Mechaber Sif Yud Ches. In Ksaso Azar, basic Nasu Ksaso Be'azara, in a mitzarfin. Part inside, part outside, part of the Azara in the courtyard and part inside, they are not mitzarif to a minyan. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkatan and Zayim Uksasim Bezara, who Adina Filuim Tisha Basikinas V'Yachid Bazar. Says Mishnah Berurah, the same thing is if 9 are in the shul and 1 is in the Azara, it's the same thing, they're not mitzarif. Kasapri Magadim, the Edis if you say Nechas Yotaz, Mari Vishin and Rayin Zelzeh. Going back to that which we saw all the way back in Sif Yodalid, when we spoke about the connection between the halachas of Siman and here the halachas of being mitzaref for a minyan is just like we learned in the rules of Siman. If you could see each other, it's considered to be one entity. So too over here, says the Pri Megadim, that which we learned in Sif Yud Zayin and here in Yechaz and Yutes is only when you cannot see each other, and that's when they're not yaitse one another. Because when they could see each other, then even when they're in 2 different houses, they are mitzaref. And as we've seen over there, some are machrim makom al-chak efshar leha. Continues Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan and Ches inam mitzarefim. Why not? Mishom de ein sham birza. Simply the reason why. What case are we going on? We're going in this case in Sif Yud Ches, that when some are in the Zara and some are in the Shul and Amrit Tarif, because there's no opening between the two. V'apesach gufa, the doorway itself, afilu ein sham delos, even they out a door, ki mechitza chashuva, as we've seen, it's considered a mechitza. V'avalei kishnei batim, and it's considered like 2 houses. We have a house and a room inside, and the 2 rooms are not open fully one into another. Davening there is not called davening with a minyan, it's called davening by yourself. You can only answer Kaddish Kedusha, it doesn't have the full status of davening with a minyan. It will come on V'sif Chav, as we'll see in a few moments. Says the Radvas, Tzedavka Lenin Sirif is only with regard to combining for a minyan, as we've seen already, a similar time applying this rule. Aval Sheyeh Mispal Im Sibur, Imein Lacheder Pesach, if there's no other Dori Acher Rak Davka Derech Habayis, Agadol Chashav Kimsal Masibur. And as we're seeing these different levels, one level is to combine to the minyan, the other level is to be considered davening with the minyan. And we continue, Sif Yoteh says the Mechaber, Sheikh Sibur Ba'ativa V'tisha B'Beis HaKnesses Misarfin. Sheikh Sibur in literally Ba'ativa in a box, and 9 in the Shalom Misarfin, Aval Bishu Gavoya Asara Rachava Arba, even though Sheikh Sibur is standing up on a platform, and it's 10 tall and it's 4 wide, V'yeshlo Mechitzos Gavoya Asara, and maybe it has a full din of its own rishos, it has even walls. Mimnei Shehi Betila Gavi Beis HaKnesses, yes, could be Messiah for the 9 in the shul. Why? Because that box is batal, is null and void to the entirety of the shul. And so I'm learning this is only when the mechitzas do not reach all the way up to the ceiling. And again, there's another application that we had by Corona. Different people at different situations, different Rashi Yeshiva, etc. They built walls around them, and this would be a classical application. Let's say there were 9 people in the shul, and you have a Rashiva sitting in his own rishos with his own walls, etc. As long as the walls do not reach all the way to the ceiling, according to all opinions, it's considered like one. Says Mishnah Berurah over here in Sivkatan and Tess, and this is really Davka B'Shech Sibur, who adin acher demisarif, as we just spoken out. It's other people as well. But Nakar Sheikh Sibur lo name the kiman shu sarich laitzian yechavas migargari. Maybe you think a Sheikh Sibur is worse because he's being yaitze the others, and that's why we learned not. And actually, we're going to stop. We're going to learn one more Siv Chaf. Siv Chaval will leave for the next year, and then we will finish the Siman. Says the Mechaber Siv Chav Vayasar b'makam echad v'ayimim kadosh kedusha. 10 people in one area, they say kadosh kedusha afilu mi she'ino yimahem yochal le'anois. Even those that are not with them could answer. V'yishaim shezarach shlei yimafsik tinov or yavoidus kachavim. They need to have that there's nothing disgusting separating between the minyan and he that is answering to the minyan. Says the Mishnah Berurah, what does that mean? He's in a different house, that's very far. You have 10 people in one area, the Shekhinah is there, and then even an iron curtain cannot separate one with his Father in heaven that is dwelling amongst those 10 people. So as long as you hear what is going on, you could answer with them. So as long as there is a minyan in that area, there is the Shekhinah there, you can be very far away. As long as you hear, you could be Yaitziv. And some say, Sivkat and Samach Beis, the Yishayim held that it has to make sure there's no tinov, there's nothing disgusting, or Chavim that is separating between you. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkat and Samach Beis, Midikos of Shulchan Aruch Din Zeh V'Losh and Yishayim, Mashma Din Zeh Loi P'Sikalei. It sounds like not everyone holds of this. Chen Mashma Merab Siman Ayin Tesav Alva, I go with those severe like Cain. Of course, you guys Margav Ram Sham. You're allowed to say Amini Shirabba in Kedusha even if there is something disgusting separating you. Davi Rak P'Sukim Aval Baruch Hu Li'anav Ayim B'Levushay Sarad Sevkotin Samal Kimel Shal Yehev Avilu Amini in Yach La'anois L'Dei Azu Muhafsik, because we just saw this opinion holds you can't even answer Amen. We said that we're going to be making in all the cases, but that is Davk with a main tin of Sivkot and Samach Talad Rotzalaymar. Afilu Meruch Meni Yoisemar Ba'amos. It's 4 amos away to Ba'alma Muta Adei Chazar is Panav. Usually, if you move away from the Tzaya, as we'll learn soon enough, and you turn away from the Tzaya, it's okay. As long as you don't smell it, but over here it does not work. Because here the tin of the disgust, the filth, is separating between the minyan and yourself. זה שורץ לזר חימנו, מפסיק בין השכינה וגרם לשכינה שאינו שיירה בכאן. Akum, Sivkot and Samachay, Ratzlamer, Vitzchavim, Moavid, Kachavim. We'll pick it up as we said from Siv Chav Aleph, as we'll finish the Siman in the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.